Hi, this is Christine, and I'm currently a junior studying economics and marketing at WashU, and I am currently in Chicago, Illinois for this presentation. For this business research course, I decided to conduct my research paper on the reasons why fast fashion companies fail when they try to globalize and enter new foreign markets. Given that I am part of Gen Z, I am the main target market for fast fashion firms. So I usually shop at fast fashion stores such as Uniqlo and Urban Outfitters because they offer trendy and style clothing at a affordable price. During my study abroad experience, I had the opportunity to travel to Sydney, Australia, Tokyo, Japan, and lastly, Singapore. Every country I visited, for every country I visited, I realized that the clothing styles I saw in malls and the advertisements I saw targeting millennials were drastically different from each other. In each country I visited, I also found it interesting that I saw familiar companies such as H&M and Forever 21 because uh, they proliferate the malls in the United States. As a result, I became interested in how these familiar firms were performing internationally given their success in the United States. So for this paper, I wanted to explore the reasons why fast fashion brands fail when they decide to globalize, because upon further research, I realized that these companies are not doing as high abroad compared to their success in their home countries. So I want to give a brief overview about the topics I will be covering for this presentation. First, I will be giving an overview of the fast fashion industry regarding the global market. Then I'll be laying the foundation of how my research was conducted. Um, then I'll be going a little bit into the details, delving into the three main reasons why fashion firms fail when they enter new markets. And these three reasons include not being able to understand local consumers, not making fact-based decisions, and having a holistic idea about the entire market. And lastly, not having a continual improvement in the digital space. These are all reasons why a firm may not be successful abroad. And then at the end, I will have a conclusion really provide recommendations on how firms can mitigate future failures when they enter new markets. So, what exactly is fast fashion? Basically, fast fashion is apparel that moves quickly from the catwalk to stores to meet the constantly changing demands in the mainstream market. Fast fashion typically targets teens and millennials who purchase trendy apparel for affordable prices. Some brands that I discussed in my paper include Forever 21, H&M, Marks and Spencers, and ASOS. All of them are Western brands. The apparel industry in 2020 was expected to reach approximately 1.5 trillion US dollars, and the market growth is expected to grow at 5% versus the historical 3%. Within the overall clothing market, fast fashion accounts for a large part of the market with a 35 billion market size, 35 billion in USD. In addition, the fast fashion market grew 21% from 2016 to 2019, and based on predictions, it will only continue to grow the coming years. It might not grow as much due to the COVID-19 situation, but there aren't any predictions currently about how this will change the fast fashion industries particularly. But given this opportunity of the market growth worldwide, many fast fashion firms are trying to start their business in foreign countries, especially emerging markets such as India and China. But a lot of them are failing abroad, and this paper explores why this failure occurs. My paper was conducted solely through secondary sources. I used academic journals and articles from respective business sites for my research. I approached my research topic through the TQM framework, otherwise known as the Total Quality Management Framework. And according to the American Society for Quality, they define the TQM framework as a management approach to long-term success through customer satisfaction, employee participation in improving processes, products, services, and the culture that they work in. There are 8 factors within the TQM framework, but I focus on the top 3 attributes that affect um, fast fashion firms the most. And these 3 factors include 1, making fact-based decisions, 2, being customer focused, and 3, making continual improvements. So let's start with the first point, which is making fact-based decisions. Many companies want to globalize to enter countries with a large untapped middle class. At first glance, emerging markets look attractive when a company solely looks at the market's growth statistics. The opportunity of entering a possibly lucrative market causes firms to make rash decisions to enter a country without really considering the risks and challenges of doing so. Although there are tremendous opportunities in emerging countries, there are equally large challenges that companies often overlook due to their positivity in the market growth. And this describes ASOS' situation when they entered the Chinese market in 2013. China looked attractive because growth was predicted to be 197.5% in the apparel industry from 2012 to 2016. Despite this, there was a lot of information that ASOS overlooked, such as strict labeling regulations. As a result, ASOS had to spend around £4 million trying to restitch their products in order to comply with Chinese regulations. It is important to make decisions by having holistic data and information about the country that a company is trying to enter to really understand the business landscape. Before globalization, fast fashion companies should research everything and anything that may place an obstacle to their business. These aspects listed on this some of these aspects are listed on the slide, and it includes really understanding the infrastructure, what the weather is like, because a company may be more equipped to, for example, produce summer clothes, and the weather in another country that they're trying to enter may have more demand for winter clothes. So that is a challenge that they need to really consider. Other things include legal structures, the economic conditions. Even though a company has a lot of growth, there might be other things pointing that economic growth might not be sustainable. Geopolitical conditions, regulations, what the tariffs and tax system looks like, and the level of corruption. So as a result, fast fashion companies really need to dive deep in doing market research about external factors that may affect their internal business. So that is a recommendation that I have for fast fashion companies to really dive into market research. Another reason why fast fashion firms fail is because they fail to be customer focused. Companies that have domestic success will fail if they transfer the same exact strategy they use for their home country to a different country. Now we'll be looking at how companies fail to be consumer focused. They're using Marks Spencer as an example. So Marks Spencer is a UK brand, and they tried to expand into the Chinese market, but they failed to do so, and they've retracted a lot of their stores the past few years. And one reason is because of the language barrier. For Marks and Spencer's, when they put their clothes out into the market, they labeled the clothes large, medium, and small. They didn't label their clothes large, medium, and small, and use European sizing, so Chinese consumers didn't really understand how the clothes would fit on their body. In addition, a lot of their marketing had language that didn't really speak to the Chinese market, and this could have easily been resolved by asking a Chinese employee or doing market research beforehand to really test the advertisements to see if the intentions of the company, the messaging that they had, really reflected what they wanted to portray. So really taking account the language barrier is important, so the message that they're trying to send out is accurate to what they wanted. 2, Marks and Spencer failed to tailor their products to consumers. Compared to the European market, the people in China tend to have smaller body frames, and their clothes were way too big for the Chinese market. As a result, even if Chinese consumers tried Marks and Spencer out, the clothes just didn't work for them. As a result, even though they gave the brand a chance, in the future they stopped purchasing from Marks and Spencer because the clothes just didn't fit. Third, is regarded around price. So in China, they are able to make clothes extremely cheap. And that's because local players have this production capability. And while Marks and Spencer is a fast fashion company, they weren't able to make their prices low enough to attract Chinese consumers. And as a result, there wasn't really a space for them because a lot of Chinese consumers really demanded Western brands to show a sense of luxury. And Marks and Spencer was not able to do that. So this kind of leads into the fourth point about perception, and how Western brands have Eastern brands, Eastern consumers, such as a lot of the Asian companies, expect Western brands to be more of quality and luxury, and as a result, there just wasn't space for Marks and Spencer in China because the fast fashion industry was already crowded, and they were entering a space where they didn't really have a competitive advantage in. Moving on to the third point, which is continual improvement. If companies don't try to continually improve and be innovative in a competitive industry, they will ultimately fail. And one area that fast fashion companies need to focus on is the digital space. By 2020, market research company Forrester predicts that e-commerce sales will reach $765 billion USD worldwide, which accounts for 36% of all clothing sales. More and more people are buying online, and as a result, companies must adapt to changing consumer purchasing habits. In addition, creating a great digital strategy takes time. So it is important for firms to take action now, so they're more prepared to change to the change in the industry, all moving online. We can use H&M as an example. So H&M was pretty late into the digital strategy game, and it took them years to perfect their digital marketing efforts. One, they had poor SEO rankings on search engines such as Google and Bing. And that is because their first initial website relied on Flash, and the Google crawlers, or the device that Google uses in order to really evaluate websites, it couldn't read Flash. So as a result, the SEO ranking was pretty low, and consumers couldn't find them on search engines when they searched up and tried to do their research on clothing brands and discover new trends. As a result, they had a website rehaul, and this really upped their SEO strategy until they decided to change the whole site architect, and they redirected old sites and landing pages to the wrong pages, and the landing pages and new web the new landing pages of the new site. So this made the user experience very frustrating, and as a result, their SEO ranking went down again. And then for the next few years, H&M decided to really delve into perfecting the infrastructure of their website, and this increased their user experience overall, which is why they're the most visited e-commerce website as of March this year. So as you can see for H&M as an example, they had to really work on their digital strategy for a number of years before they got the basics down and they really excelled in the digital space. But one area that they're still working on is the mobile aspect. So more and more people are doing research and purchasing products through their mobile devices versus their desktop, and this number is only going to increase. And one important aspect of the mobile experience is site speed. So consumers are not willing to wait in order for a page to load. As a result, H&M needs to really delve into improving their site experience and infrastructure on their for mobile in order for consumers to be happy with the experience. So as a conclusion for continual improvement, I suggest that fast fashion companies really delve deep into how they can leverage online and e-commerce to be on their side and put investment into that versus more of the retail physical sales. So as a conclusion, fast fashion companies have been failing the past few years as they try to globalize. And through this paper, we really evaluated the reasons why fast fashion companies have failed. And these reasons include them not being customer centric, not making continual improvements, and not making fact-based decisions and having a holistic picture of the market. In the future, I think it is inevitable for companies to not experience some sort of failure, whether it be big or small. But it is really important for firms to act fast and be agile to overcome the failures that they're experiencing. And it might feel like a jumble, and the company might not know which direction they might need to take because they're not able to really pinpoint the root cause of their failure. In order to really figure out why a firm is failing, I think they should use the TQM framework to figure this out. And specifically for fast fashion firms, the areas that they need to focus on include: one, being customer focused; two, being trying to find ways that they can improve their business; and three, making fact-based decisions. So my suggestion and recommendation for these fast fashion companies is to really focus and delve their energy into excelling in these three areas, and then in the future, and at the same time that they're focusing on these areas, also think about the other areas of the TQM that they could really tackle in order to be successful in a new foreign market. That was my presentation. Thank you for listening. And I hope this presentation gave you some insight into the fast fashion industry and how firms can prevent and mitigate the risk of failure in the future.